Hi everyone. I wanted to sit down today and take some time to talk about taking anti-anxiety or antidepressant medication. For me specifically, this is Sertraline, also known as Zoloft. I've been taking Sertraline for almost 2 years now. Sertraline is a common anti-anxiety or antidepressant medication that comes from the family of selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, also known as SSRIs, which is a lot easier to say. My journey for this started when I began seeing my therapist in early 2021. I was at a point where I'd spent multiple days that month basically unable to function due to crippling anxiety, so at that point I knew that I really needed help. I've always been an anxious person, but that's a video for another day. Working with this therapist was great for me, and it was a lot of hard work, both mentally and emotionally, but I was at a point where I was really ready for it. After about 6 months of regular therapy and hard work, I took a break from therapy just to put what I'd learnt into practice and really take time to put actions in place for myself. But at this point, my therapist had let me know that although they were not qualified to give a proper diagnosis just based on the way the qualifications work here in New Zealand, he believed, based on what he'd seen in me and from working with other mental health professionals, that I suffered from a generalized anxiety disorder and that I could benefit from going to see my GP to be prescribed anti-anxiety medication for this. Soon after this, I did take the step to book an appointment with my GP to let her know where I was at mentally and emotionally, let her know the work that I'd done and the fact that I thought that I could possibly benefit from anti-anxiety medication. She agreed with me and was really supportive, and based on her experience of having seen lots of young people do really well on Sertraline or Zoloft, that was what she prescribed me. So I started out on a half tablet, so 25 milligrams a day for I think it was 2 or 3 weeks, and then I've been on a full dose of 50 milligrams a day since then. I was slightly concerned, as a lot of us are, about potential side effects, but at that point it felt really worth it to me to at least try, and I felt like I was in a decent place to keep checking in with myself as to how I was feeling and keeping an eye on those side effects to make sure that I was still doing the best thing for myself. I also really felt like I had the support of my doctor and that I could contact her for help if I did see these side effects come up, so I had support in place as well. For me personally, I think it was the right thing to do to first start with therapy, and then once I'd kind of gained a bit of space and some tools and some knowledge around myself, to then start on the medication, so that once the benefits of that medication came through, I could really use that to help re-motivate myself to keep going and keep doing the good work, to just keep dealing with my issues as I came up, but feeling better and more secure in myself as I was doing that, and also feeling like I was actually getting the benefit of doing all the work it's a really helpful thing, it's a really motivating thing, and I think that that was the right approach for me. Before we get into the side effects, I just want to say that I 100% am glad that I started on Sertraline, and I am still on my 50 milligram dose to this day, almost 2 years later. Okay, while we're here, let's talk about side effects. So as I said, I've been on this for almost 2 years. The side effects only really started to show up sort of around that like 9-month, 1 year phase. They weren't early side effects, you know, in the first couple of weeks. It was once I've been taking them for a while. The 2 side effects that I have observed have been weight gain and lowered libido. I've not noticed anything else that I can put my finger on, and I would absolutely say that being on this medication and dealing with the side effects that I do deal with is better than being off it, and we'll get into why I still feel that way. So the weight gain for me has not been huge, and I don't want to talk specific numbers because I know that that's not always helpful for some of us, but I've put on about 8% of my pre-meds body weight since I started taking it. This basically means that some of my clothes don't fit. Some of them still do, but some of them don't, which is annoying and is probably like like the worst thing for me about it really, is that I have some really nice clothes that I would like to fit that I currently can't fit. I have also had a lot of emotional things going on over that time. I switched jobs, I got engaged, I planned a wedding, I got married, you know, there's been other things going on that may have contributed to more of that like emotional eating. But I would say my experience has been that it's been very hard to even start losing any of that weight, and I think that that's where the medication's effects have really come into play. I believe that when filming this, I've been trying to healthily lose some of that weight for about 6 months now, and in the last few weeks I've lost like 2 or 3 pounds, or like 1 kilogram. Who knows, they could come back up again, but that is as much progress as I have been able to make in the last 6 months. Okay, the second side effect is lowered libido. This one is interesting and not something that you generally see a 20-something talking about, but here we are and we're going to talk about it today. You don't really think about this topic too much until it's an issue for you, and then you have to kind of break down the mechanics of how things used to work for you and how they work for you now, and it's been an interesting journey, I will say that much. So prior to this, I would say I had like a fairly normal libido. I would have like moments throughout the week where I'd have a thought pop into my head about my partner and be like, oh, that's interesting, might like to do something and act on that later. And then later when we had time, when it kind of seemed like the moment was right, you know, that thought would kind of come back to me, and then my body would react to that, which would feed back to my brain that like, yeah, this is something cool, we could be interested in this, you know. And it would all kind of flow from there, and it would all work and it would all happen, you know, happy days, cool. After a while on Sertraline / Zoloft, I would just not have those random thoughts of fun, interesting things that I could do with my partner. They just would not come up. There was no inspiration there whatsoever. And then if we were, you know, sitting together at the end of a day that had been really nice, and I would think, oh, it's been some time since something's happened, you know, this could be a cool opportunity. I think, you know, I want this, maybe. My body and brain could not communicate. My brain would sort of propose to my body like, hey, you know, do you want this? My body would just not react whatsoever. There was no response there. And maybe if my partner and I tried to kind of prompt my body to react and become more interested, it would just take a very long, very particular time for my body to become interested and react positively. Sometimes by which time it was just too difficult and frustrating and upsetting and annoying and whatever. So this whole thing could just become very exhausting and upsetting, like I said, and frustrating. And my partner, now husband, bless him, you know, he knows and I know that it's not his fault. It's also not my fault. It's just a thing that we have to work through together, and it is fine, and we are figuring it out. What it has meant is that we've had to figure out how to better get my brain and my body to communicate better, help my brain to be kind of less distracted so that it can focus on getting all those signals working properly. Taking the pressure off myself, that has been a big one. Finding ways for us to be together that doesn't then create that pressure, because the pressure just made it more difficult. And also sometimes, you know, not sometimes actually, always be open to the fact that it might just not work, and that's okay. Always remembering that really helps to take that pressure off and help to just be able to be more present and get things working better by removing that pressure. So in terms of dealing with these side effects, about 6 months ago I did go to see my doctor to talk to her about the side effects that I was dealing with, and we came up with a few different ideas that we could try out. The first of which was to try weaning off and then stopping my medication to see A, if I could cope with that and I was still feeling fine, and then B, if that could then help to alleviate some of those side effects because I would be taking less and then not taking the medication. The plan, I believe, was for me to be on a half dose for 4 weeks and then to stop completely at the end of those 4 weeks. Spoiler alert, it did not go very well. So at the end of the 3rd week, I'd been feeling a little bit down for a bit, and then I realized, like, no, this is not good. I am not in a good place. This is not a good idea. Like, abort mission, we're not doing this. So I then went back onto my full dose, and it was like a solid 4 or 5 days before I felt okay again. So that did not work for me in that moment. It may work in the future, but that was not the right thing for me in that moment. So after that, I just went, okay, we're just going to keep dealing with these side effects as best as we can, but carry on with the medication, because I would rather be on the medication dealing with these side effects than I would be without it. And I can say that 100% sure because I tried it. And yeah, the medication is the right thing for me. So anyway, for me, with the side effects, with the weight gain, it is what it is. It has been a really good opportunity for me to focus in on having really healthy exercise habits, really healthy diet, getting really good sleep and lots of water, and trying to reduce stress in my life, because that can also stop you from losing weight. So it's been a great opportunity for all of those. And the libido thing is something that we just continue to work at. You know, we will plan times so that I can start to get my brain and my body into alignment, ready for things, rather than it just being needing to like switch and be ready to go. That's been really helpful. Anytime I do have like thoughts or feelings where I'm kind of interested, I can then also go, oh, I know that we're going to try this on, you know, Friday night or whenever it is, and I can then try and call on that and say, see, you know, we are interested. It's just hard to kind of get it going at the time sometimes because things don't communicate well. So lots of little things have really helped with that. And the great thing is that I can absolutely see that I am getting better at coping with these things. It's not that they're just the same level of bad the whole time. When you first realize that you're experiencing it, yeah, it's really crappy and you don't have any ways to kind of help deal with it. But over time, we've definitely got better at dealing with it. So I'm feeling a lot happier in that. And it's also kind of grounding and comforting to know that a lot of women deal with this issue for a variety of reasons at different stages of their life. So you're not alone in this, but we figure it out. My overall verdict is that the side effects of the weight gain and the libido issues for me are still not as bad as being off the medication. Easily, hands down, 100% can say that. My life now is so much easier and more carefree and stress-free and relaxed than it was prior to being on medication. My baseline of life is so much higher than it used to be. I plan to keep dealing with these side effects as I have been up till now. I also may go back to my doctor in the next 6 months or so to take her up on the other offer of kind of option that we had to deal with the side effects, which was looking at possibly switching to a different type of SSRI, so a different type of medication that's in the same family as Sertraline / Zoloft. However, there are any number of other side effects that can come up when you switch medications. So again, this isn't a surefire thing. It's just something that I may look at doing in the next 6 months, depending on how I kind of go with life in general. Anyway, I hope that this has helped you today. Remember that it is important to work with a medical professional who is qualified to advise you before you decide to start taking Sertraline or Zoloft, or any other SSRI medication. And also, if at all possible, make sure that you have good support and resources to access while you are on that journey. Remember that you should never stop taking your meds cold turkey, and if the side effects that you are dealing with are making you want to do that, please reach out to a health professional right away, because they can do things to help you work through this, and that is going to be better than just stopping cold turkey. So please, please, please look after yourself. I hope that you are all doing well today. Have some good snacks, drink lots of water, get a hug, And if you have any questions, please comment them down below and subscribe to see more of my mental health content. Thanks so much, guys. Take care.